Yo, ladies and gentlemen, today we're gonna talk about the top 5 of Season 3. I'm personally not gonna be playing too much, but I would still love to bring you that video of what I feel like is the best choices. So, starting with number 5, in my opinion, will be the Trapsin, especially now that we get to actually gain all the benefits from Griffins, right? Instead of just getting the faster cast. Now it will let you actually use the lightning damage, and that is just absolutely fire. Also, getting the damage from your tranks for your corpse explosion, it's just all over a happy place for the assassin at the moment. Yeah, this is definitely gonna be my choice of like a top tier build for sure. Like extremely well. It just works really good. You don't have to be like the best player or anything. It does most the work for you, right? So I should just, I literally just annihilated a whole council standing in the middle of it. The only thing that was slightly dangerous was my mercenary was about to die, but he survived it. Um, and yeah, man, this build is nice, especially now. Like it just fucking it really rips. Um, nothing to say. Like there is just this is fire, even more fire so than the past seasons. Um, I will say that slight upgrade instead of rolling the two plagues as I'm doing right now would be having a greater talon or a greater claw that has +5 to lightning century with 40 increased attack speed, and then putting a 15 increased attack speed jewel into it, and preferably having other good stats as well, right? So it's not just the 40 increased attack speed, but just so you have the maximum, like you can lay traps at the highest speed while still being in fade, and that is with that on, it's over. It's done. It's the best build almost. Like, it's so good. Um, yeah, that's definitely my number 5 choice. And I'll go over the gear really quickly. Trains gloves, dual plagues, Enigma, Griffins with a Cham rune, a 220 amulet, 10 faster cast rings, arachnids, and wall travelers. Of course, a torch, an Annie, and some rest charms, some all rest, some life, some skillers to just max out, right? Like, preferably you would have um, either 7 run walk or life on them, depending on what you want the most. But other than that, yeah, you're good to go. The
Not in town.
the damage output right now is 13, 14k, and as I said, it rips, man. It doesn't really take a lot of effort to play, so it's one of those builds that are easy to handle. It's hard to start because you have to understand all the different parts. There's a lot of moving parts in this build, but other than that, it's a really nice build. I love this stuff. This is one of my favorites by far. Um, go over the skill tree real quick. I invested a couple of points in here, only in Fade and in the Shadow Master, and then I put the rest of them in my Lightning Century, and then the synergies. I put exactly 9 points into my Fire Blast because I don't really use it. It's literally just to give my Death Century a couple more pops instead of it just as like now it shoots 8 times instead of just I believe it's 4 or 5. So that's the reasoning behind that. And yeah, hey, as I said, let me just use my bow real quick. You see 3,500 health with no lifers. I have a couple of life charms on, but it's not 45 lifers, right? Like there's none of that. It's just regular trap skillers, all of them, mostly so. So filling this with lifers, you could imagine like you'll be at 5k life easy with this setup. Um, yeah, that is number 5. So for number 4, I'm gonna choose the lightning sword. I am not currently holding a infinity because I kind of gave that away. So, but what I can do is I cannot go to trap and redo what I just did with the trap zone because I probably will get annihilated. I'm pretty sure, but I will find the leg and then I will show what it looks like in a cow level and stuff. Because cows is where she really just freaking rips. But with an infinity, you can go anywhere, and she rips like everywhere. There's not a oh, right. I don't even have a space to pick it up. 1 second. This. So for this build, it's slightly expensive as well. Not that the assassin is not expensive, but it's slightly expensive. It's not the cheapest build, but it is enjoyable. I will say that it is absolutely enjoyable, just instant killing cows, and this is without infinity, right? So you can imagine with infinity, this is gonna be just stupid. You see, like she really clears this stuff out. Anything where there's a lot of enemies moving towards you, she is just hammering through it. Like, it's nothing. And I like to use, when I'm doing cows, I know that infinity would be a lot faster. It's not even that it would be a lot faster, it's just, it would be faster, right? But I like the, not having to mana pot all the time, because that it does. She is really mana dependent, which is kind of the same thing for the assassin. She is mana dependent. You will have to slam the pots, but this is just the speed at which you can clear stuff is phenomenal. And you're teleporting with 200 FCR is whew, it's hard to, it's once you have had it, it's hard to not to have it anymore, if that makes sense. Like, you get addicted to this shit. It's so nice. It just, she flies. Not a lot of other builds that has the speed in terms of cows that she has. Necromancer is one. If you play this with a Necromancer, like you and someone who is using a Poison Bone or any corpse explosion Necromancer, so all you have to do is just lay one down. It's so fast. I wish I had somebody on with one that could show it real quick, because it's dummy fast. And
I can't.
but this build is phenomenal. As I said, it's phenomenal. I like the Nova more so than I like the old school lightning, just because the Nova is it's easy to control. You don't have to aim it at all, and when you're playing console like I do with a controller, having to aim is kinda annoying.
Not in town.
So I'm rocking a roughly 5k Nova, which is honestly is pretty. It's pretty good. I could get a little bit higher. I'm using Energy Shield as well, to absorb the damage, and when you're having the mana regen as I do right now, it's just crazy. You really never take damage at any point. I got equal life and health mana. I could have gone for the only mana, but I just like having life alongside it, in case you get poisoned, in case of different scenarios. For the inventory, we have some Mage Fist. I'm using a Hodo. I got a Viper with the not the best dual end, but it's okay. Got a Griffin's, not the best one, just a regular one. Got a Spirit Monarch. Got a 217 Amulet, and we got some faster cast rings, and we got Arachnids, of course. We got the Silkweed for some more mana, and of course a CTA on Switch, but that's obvious. We're using a Torch, Annie, and then we got some Skillers. They could also have been better. I got this to hit my faster hit recovery, and a couple more Skillers, and then the small charms is mostly life and mana. Just for overstacking a little bit on the life and mana, so you get a little bit higher pool. But it's not super necessary. You can definitely do without. You can just fill her with Skillers and a couple of faster hit recovery charms, and you're good to go, man. In terms of the skill tree, it's basically there's one skill in cold, one skill in fire, and the rest is in lightning. I have 14 points into my energy shield, which is 90%, I know, but then I have a solution for that to max it out. I got maxed out lightning mastery, and then you have 1 point in these 1 point wonders, right? And then you max out static field, you max out nova, and you max out telekinesis. And then I have, if I want to do a quick max out on my energy shield, what I'll do is I'll use this for maxing out, because it's +9 to the energy shield, so it puts it up to 95%. Yeah, that's the build. That's it. I do have a couple of backup items, as you see, just in case I want to do something specific that where it takes that I have, or it requires me to have something specific. Yeah. You could be using an Ashudas instead of the Hodo. It's definitely not a bad choice, for sure. It's really nice too. I haven't personally put it on yet because I haven't. I really want to get some 5/5 lightning facets to put in everything, so that way I'm maxed out on the damage. But for now, I'll just be using the Hodo. Yeah, that's about it. But that's, as I said, that we'll check this real quick. The 200 faster cast is ridiculously good. It's so freaking good. It just makes for a speedy build. Like, it's hard for other people to keep up, especially if you're running cows. It's there. It's just you're running through it. Yeah, that's it for number 4. Yeah. Okay, so number 3, in my opinion, will be the Amazon, the Javazon, to be specific. We all know her, and she has been at the top of the builds for as long as I remember. This game is like, this is one of the builds that's just been there for forever, because it's just that good, right? It's really good, and super fast. At like clear speed wise, it's super fast. In terms of movement, it's not having Enigma, which I don't have on this, but you can use for sure. Like, you can definitely put Enigma on her if you want to. I do like not having Enigma on some of the builds though, because you become reliant on it, and it breaks the game a little bit. It's not like I don't have anything against it or anything, but it's just It's nice sometimes not having to teleport or fly around, but just run around. Stacking the run walk speed on her is makes it a lot more enjoyable when you don't have Enigma, for sure. It's not a necessity, but it does make it more enjoyable if you're playing with other people who does use Enigma or something like that. Or a sword, right? But yeah, she, as you see, she's just like freaking ripping it apart. We'll grab that real quick. This is one of my personal favorites in terms of clear speed, especially when it comes to bosses, right? Like when you want to kill Diablo, Vale, if you, it's so good. She kills those bosses at an insane rate, basically faster than anything else in the game. And it's been like that for a long time. She is by far one of my favorite builds in terms of, as I said, clear speed, but also just in like playing around solo. This is really enjoyable. I like it a lot. Um, the bigger the pile of cows you can collect or enemies, the more fun it becomes. There is a slight issue, I will say, since I'm on console. I have to aim the bolts in the direction I want to shoot them. I can't. It's not like the Nova where I can just wait for them to push me. It does take that I kind of line them up and collect them a little bit, but it's so enjoyable. It is really enjoyable. And on top of that, I will say that it's also one of those builds where you you don't need a slam mana pots if you have a Phoenix, right? Because the Phoenix fills your mana pot or your mana and your life. So even if you do take damage, it doesn't matter. You'll fill that up immediately. Let's look at the gear real quick, just as to see. I'm not even using a pair of Titans, but you don't really need it unless you're doing PvP. When you're just slaying monsters, this is plenty enough to just murder away. So I'm using Titans, I'm using a Fortitude, I'm using a Griffins, not the best Griffins or anything, just a decent one. I'm using personally Cat's Eye for the faster run walk and the increased attack speed, and the Dex is nice too. I got a Phoenix on for the Redemption Aura. And I am using Aldors, I'm using a Raven, I'm using the T-Guards, I'm using a Dual Leech Ring, and then I have a pair of crafted gloves with 20 increased attack speed, 10 crushing blow for that extra damage towards Diablo and Bale, and then I got a couple of skillers. Don't feel like it's super necessary. I got a Torch and Annie, and then most of the others are max damage or resist, or it's faster one walk, which is what I really would like to stack on her, just a bunch of faster run walk, because it makes her run when she's running super fast. It's even more enjoyable, right? Yeah, and for the
Not in town.
character screen here, not the craziest stats. My resistances are super bad and stuff, but it really don't matter because rarely do you get hit by stuff enough to actually take the amount of damage that's gonna kill you. It's more so that you just like running through everything with ease. So that way it's pretty decent. We got a decent split on the stat points. Can quickly go here. We have I would love to have a little bit more mana hit, steel per hit, but I don't need it with Phoenix, so that's why I went with what I got right now. Um, I don't even have any faster hit recovery either, because as I said, it really don't matter because I'm killing everything before it even gets close enough to where it becomes an issue. Um, this character screen is really bugged out right now, I see. Okay, that's crazy. And for my skills, I have maxed out the synergies that I needed for my Fury, and then I put 12 points to get it to 84%. Basically, it's gonna be 85 when I bow. So 85% Peters is plenty in my opinion. You do not need razor tail if you're doing it like this. You could get a tiny bit more damage, but you've seen how it just rips through everything, so the damage really don't matter that much when she's already doing crazy damage. Yeah, that's my number 3 pick. And then we are down to 2. So in my opinion, number 2 is gonna be the Paladin, because it has reigned number 1 forever, right? And it still could be number 1 technically, because you can go basically any way you want. It's fast, it's the clear speed is ridiculous, it has barely any immunities, it's super nice to use, super like powerful and really high on it has like a lot of life, it has really high survivability, it's not squishy at all, it's so fast at clearing basically anything in the game. It's one of those builds that just will never, unless they of course nerf it at some point, then maybe it'll take a hit and it'll go down in terms of tiers of how good it is, but this is just, it's so good. It's so fast too. It's a classic build. It's nothing has really changed over the years with this build. It's still the same as it ever was. Nothing new and exciting about it. It's an OG build that stayed good for forever, basically, right? Um, and it's one of those builds that doesn't take a high amount of skill to use either. It's fairly simple, but it is absolutely great. It's one of the greats, for sure.
Stay a while and listen.
Let's go over the items real quick. So I am personally using Mage Fist. I'm using a BK ring for some extra health, the skill. Using Arachnids. I'm using a 10 faster cast ring. Then I got a pair of War Travelers. I got a Spirit. I got a Morris. I got a Chammed Shaco. And Enigma, of course. I got a Hodo. And then, of course, we got a CTA on the swap. And then it's just a Geeds, and then the rest of them are skillers. All of them, yeah. And again, it's even without skillers, it's super powerful. You don't really need that much gear. You could do dual spirits, and you don't need Enigma and all that stuff. But once you do have all those things, it just becomes incredibly good. Torch and Annie, and it's doing 14k damage, which is plenty in my opinion. It's not, even with 10k damage, it's still gonna rip through everything, just because the hammers are so powerful. At 3.3k life is pretty decent too. And let's go for the stats really quick. I like to be at 250-ish magic find, where I feel like that's the way to go. 125 faster cast, which is the highest breakpoint. Yeah, and then that's the skills are pretty simple. You max out Holy Shield, max out hammers. Well, Holy Shield you want to max out as the last skill. You want to max out the hammers and the auras first, and then once you maxed out those, you can then use your spare skills to max out Holy Shield. And I'm currently level 97 on this one, so you can see I'm already maxed on my Holy Shield, and all the synergies and the hammers are maxed, so the rest of the skills I have now can go to whatever I like. I usually always put one skill in Fanaticism, and the reason behind that is for doing wave 2 on the Bale waves, right? If I'm soloing that, then I can put Fanaticism on, and then I can let my mercenary kill a lot faster than he otherwise would. And with my mercenary doing literally almost 10k damage, he clears wave 2 fairly fast. As long as I'm keeping the skellies down, then he'll kill all the rest of them. And I think I'ma spend 1 point on redemption just so you can remove the dead bodies for wave 2. If it's a bunch of dolls in there, you can like quickly remove all the bodies and they won't revive the dolls, so they won't come running up on you. That's just a tip. And another thing is I like to have cleansing, because cleansing for wave 2, or for just in general if you're running multiple Hamadins in the same game, I usually have my cleansing on just to remove all the curses and poison. And now I can't personally be frozen, but for other people it's nice to have, when you're running a group, it's nice to not be frozen and not be poisoned and all that stuff. Yeah, that's my number 2 choice, which could have been number 1, but I have found a new number 1 in my opinion that I personally like more. Bum, ba, bum. Number 1 is, in my opinion, the new reigning, I was about to say king, but it would actually be a queen. So this is probably better than the Hamadin, just because of the speed and the cheapness of building it too. It does not take a lot to build this. I know that what I'm using right now is pretty high end here, but you can do with a lot less than what I'm using right now, just because it's so freaking good. And it's fast too, like it's just ridiculously fast. And you, with the Thunder Charm, you have no problem running through everything in here, which is used to be slight issue with her, was like when you met cold immunes, you just didn't have anything but your mercenary to rely on, right? Like you had to rely on your mercenary to kill everything for you. And in here, having to rely on your mercenary like that, it can be annoying. It's one of those things that can be slightly annoying. Wow, I cannot pick that up. There we go. But as you see right now, is no issue. There's literally no challenge. There's any kind of skill gap that used to be in the game has now officially been fully removed. There's no skill gap anymore. There's no difference between a good player and a bad player. It's anyone can take over the leaderboards. Anyone can become number 1. It's just a question about how well you are at grinding, and not so much how good you are at building a build. Of course, having a team to run with makes everything a lot easier in terms of grinding leaderboards. Although I will say that just with this build alone, it's just so freaking good. See, this is one Blizzard on Diablo, and he's basically dead, right? That's basically the same speed as the Hamadin, but it's a lot easier to get to. You don't have to have Enigma, you don't have to have all these other things, um, which the Hamadin, to be fast, kind of does need, right? So let's go over the gear real quick. We got Mage Fist, which I will be switching out for a pair of Trang's gloves, because I feel like Trang gloves, it's better choice now because of the cold rest, since you can like my cold rest is screwed up from the Thunder Charm. Um, but yeah, other than that, it's all the other gear is pretty settled. It's I wouldn't put anything on else on. So we got a Fathom near perfect with a 5/5 in it. We got a perfect Orminus with a 5/5 in it. We got a perfect Nightwings with a 5/5, and then I'm rocking a Morris. I'm rocking a Spirit Monarch. Got a pair of tracks on. You could switch those for a number of things, but I just like them for the Poison Rush. And we got a Stone Jordan. We got the Snow Clash for the extra damage, and we got the faster cast ring to hit the breakpoint. Of course, a CTA. And then it's just skillers. The rest of them, well, I got a Keats, of course, but other than that, it's just skillers. Um, and a Thunder Charm, a Torch, an Annie, and a bunch of Rest Charms for maxing out the last couple of reses. Yeah, this is my new number one, or like my new favorite. Damn, that was close. We do have. I'll put that in here. We do have a couple of other items that I can switch if I want to go Magic Find a Bunch. Then I have like a Shaco at 3 set Tells with the belt and the amulet, the armor. I have a Oculus. I haven't ID'd it because I haven't used it, which I'm gonna basically suck it and put the Isrun in it. It's ethereal, which doesn't matter because you're never gonna hit anything, so that really don't matter. You could have an ethereal Death Fathom as well, which would be plus on the style points, look super nice. I have a Whiz Spike in case I need it, and a Storm Shield. And yeah, that's about it. I think that's the ranking of the builds at the moment, in my opinion. I can't lie, this build has become probably the best build, just in terms of how easily you can get the items and how powerful it actually is when it's performing and how well it performs. Not a lot of things I can say other than that. We can go over the skills real quick. You can go either way. You can do an orb build, or you can do a blizzard build like me. I'm just very used to the blizzard and the playstyle, so I usually always go for blizzard. The orb is more beginner friendly for sure. You don't have to have the same movement and the same type of precision, which is on a controller can be tough if you're not used to it. But as I said, I played it for so many years that I got used to it, and it's yeah, it's easy. It's not that bad. And she's not even max damage yet. Like she can go even higher than this. As you can tell, I haven't maxed out my glacial spike. So once I do that, she'll definitely be doing the 15k damage in that area. I still have room for another skiller, 2 more skillers if I take the Geats off. Yeah, so with that on, you would be able to hit 15k easily, I would say, maybe even more. And it's already ridiculously fucking powerful with this on, so putting the extra skillers on is really gonna set her up like to just annihilate anything. She will even kill Bale and Diablo so fast that it's on a player's 8 that is kind of ridiculous. Yeah, that's the way I've went with it. Max out the Ice Bolt, max out the Ice Blast, max out your Blizzard, max out your Glacial Spike. do put some points in Glacial Spike in the beginning, what I usually do is I level Glacial Spike and Bolt up at the same time to the hit level 10. And then once they are at level 10, I go to max out my Ice Bolt, and then I will max out this after. And the reasoning behind that is having the freeze length of your Glacial Spike be a little bit longer gives you more time to precisely put your Blizzard down. Well, at this point where she is doing this much damage, it doesn't really matter. But in the beginning, when you don't have the gear, it's kind of nice to use. I maxed out my Cold Mastery for the maximum amount of minus to the enemies with the Thunder Charm on. That really makes for a big difference, I feel like. I do have a point in Energy Shield, which I have regretted now, and I might respec her later down the line to remove that. I don't need it, right? It's not necessary. You need the 1 point in your teleport and 1 point in static for the bosses, but really, again, with the static, it's nice, but at this point when she's doing this kind of damage, it's kind of unnecessary. Like, you don't really need it. Other than that, what we got, we have a mercenary with treachery, an insight, and the good old setup, I would say. Yeah, but again, once you hit this point in the game, when you're doing this kind of damage, you don't really need
Not here.
don't really need it anymore.
Not here.
And with a Ice Blast that does 6.3k, it's ripping everything apart. It really is. It's just so good. Let's check the stats here. I know it says 67, but that's because my insight is not on right now. It would say like 300 something % mana regen. I have literally only the geese for Magic Bind, which is kind of pointless right now. It would be better with a skiller, for sure. And then having the geese in the stash in case you want to go Magic Find, you swap out to the Talos the different items that gives you Magic Find, and you'll be at like 250 Magic Find. And we got the 105 faster cast. What more to say? There's not a lot. I think. No, I think that's it. And you do see the strength being kind of high, but that's, again, I could respec her. I have had upgrades for her along the way. Like, I used to have a 12-10 torch when I skilled her, but now I got a 19-19, and the same goes for the Annie. I used to have a 11-12 or some stupid shit like that, but now I got an 18-17. So at that's a lot of other extra attribute points I could save. But yeah, this build is the new reigning king in my opinion. Or queen, she's literally ripping things to shreds in a manner that's beyond anything else in the game. I don't feel like there's other stuff that has the same power as she does. She just deletes everything, and it's so fast too. It's so fast. And once you get, I would say, Orb is probably slightly bit faster in certain areas, and then the Blizzard are faster with certain things, right? But see, this is a point where having the Glacial Spike is nice because I can stop them so they don't really move. Whoa, that became dangerous because my mercenary died. But yeah, she's basically one-tapping everything. If they run into the Blizzard, they're dead. If you use your oh, I picked that up. I did not mean to. But you see, the cold damage right now is hurting me really bad because I don't have the Tranks gloves on, which does make a major difference in my opinion. Just having that extra plus to the cold rest, which is needed with that Thunder Charm, but I haven't gotten around to actually put a pair on her, so that's why I'm rolling with that kind of bad. um, resistances right there. Yeah, that's my build. Oh, I didn't have bow on either, so that was with 1,000 health. It makes sense why he died so fast. I was thinking why the freaking mercenary died so fast, but that's of course he has no health.
Hello.
But yeah, that just goes to show that even with no health and like, no mercenary, she's still capable, right? She's still able to hold her own. So that's gonna be the video. That's gonna be it for me. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this new season. I hope you find some good stuff and you find the build you like and you get to try something new. Um, in terms of the Bladeson, I haven't played her, so I really won't be able to rank her because I don't really know yet. But I played with somebody who used it, and it felt like it was lagging me out a lot. Like I would have the game was super laggy with all the other things going on at the same time. So I personally don't like it too much. It's the same issue you can run into with the um, Javazon is if you're playing an older console and you have more people in there, it will blue screen you and kick you out of the game a lot more, just because the effects on the screen is too much to handle for the PlayStation or for the old Xbox or whatever. So, but other than that, it's a phenomenal. It's a great build. Yeah. Thank you for watching. I hope you'll be back.